Creating and managing scenes is a new feature of WyBoard Studio, starting on version 2. Let's create a new project. We will name it Math Using Scenes. By default, WyBoard Studio will create one scene, and we don't need to create other scenes if our project doesn't require them. What is a scene? A scene is a dramatic part of a story. For instance, if we are creating a video that needs to switch between topics with different images and texts, where the screen will change its appearance, we may benefit from using scenes. For the first scene, we will add text explaining the meaning of addition to our math project. We can add a background image or color. In this example, we will set a background color. Another new feature on version 2 of the program is the option to hide the hand when we add a whiteboard, doodle animation. Now let's create a new scene. Use the Edit Scenes button above the canvas to manage the scenes. By default, a project has only one scene that is 20 minutes long, but it can be increased to a maximum of 30 minutes. We will change the duration of the first scene to be 7 seconds. Note that we can't change the start time, we always must work with the duration. Now we will click on the Add New Scene button to create a new scene. We can modify the scene name, which is useful to help us organize the scenes. Let's rename the first scene and call it Addition. The second scene will be called Multiplication. Note that the new scene starts right after the previous scene. We can't change the start time of the second scene, but we can change its duration. Let's make it 10 seconds. We will configure the transition between one scene to another to be 3 seconds. The full length of the video will still be 17 seconds. 7 seconds for the first scene and 10 seconds for the second scene, where 3 seconds is the length of the transition between the first to the second scene, which is part of the second one, which we are configuring to last 10 seconds. Important: after we create a new scene, we can define how one scene will transition to the other. We can define how long the transition will be. In our case, let's define the transition duration to be 3 seconds. We also need to define the type of transition. We have 5 available types. None: the first scene will transition immediately to the next scene. In this case, the transition duration will be ignored. Swipe left, swipe right, swipe top and swipe bottom. These transition types will dictate how one scene will transition to the other scene. How the screen will switch from one scene to the other one. You will understand this better once we show it in action. We can add as many scenes as we want. As long as we don't exceed the maximum length of 30 minutes, which is quite a lot. We can delete a scene, we can rearrange them moving up and down, which makes WyBoard Studio to automatically reorganize the time of all animations. That's really cool. Note that when a scene is deleted, all images and animations for that scene are removed from the project. Once we are done, we click OK. We are now back to the canvas. Let's select the second scene. Note that images and texts belong to a specific scene. The first scene has its own set of images and texts. Same thing for the second scene, which is blank for now, as we haven't added any image or text to it yet. Another thing to mention, the timeline for the second scene starts at 7 seconds, which is when the first scene ends. The timeline will always show the time and duration of the current and selected scene. For the second scene, we will add text explaining the meaning of multiplication to our math project. We will add a background image or color. In this example, we will set the background color of the second scene. Note that each scene can have its own background image or color. It's very flexible. We are done. Let's verify how our project looks like by using the Preview button. We see in action the power of using scenes. We can use all the other features of WyBoard Studio along with scenes. That's awesome, isn't it?